Greetings, my name is Brad Trimble. I'm the Director of Learning and Development for the RP Group. I'm joined today by a team from Anza College who did some really important work that has been recognized by the RP Group and received an RP Award of the Year for Research and Evaluation Project of the Year. The title of the presentation that was submitted is Be Mindful of the Gap, Are Success Rates a Result of Student or Faculty Success? And the criteria for selecting RP awards is based upon relevance, innovation, impact, and also replicability. So the team from Anza is going to walk us through all of these aspects of their project and how it's very meaningful for both their institution and the field. So with that, I'd like to go ahead and turn it over. Mallory, would you begin introductions?
Sure, thank you, Brad. My name is Mallory Newell, and I am the Director of Institutional Research and Planning at Anza College, which is located in Cupertino, California. And I'll pass it on to my colleague, Jerry.
Hi, and I'm Jerry Rosenberg, and I'm the Dean of Physical Sciences, Math and Engineering at Anza. And Myriad?
Yeah, hi, I'm myriad. I'm the Department Chair and Math Faculty at Anza College.
Thank you. And I'm interested in knowing from each of your perspectives, what was the impetus for this important work that you did? And what were some of the aspects that you think helped make it successful at the institution?
Yeah, so we are a very diverse community college. We're a large community college. We have around 19,000 students in the fall term. And we have a very, very diverse population. We have 45% Asian, 25% Latinx, 5% African American, 5% Filipinx. So we have a very diverse population, and we've always had a very large and targeted focus on equity. And we've had for the past, at least 7 years, a institutional goal of closing our opportunity gap or our equity gaps to no more than 5 percentage points across the board. And while we are a very innovative campus and we have a very laser focus on equity, we haven't seen that gap closing. And so we started to really drill down and look under the hood and trying to really figure out, what is happening, what's happening to these different student groups that we're not closing our equity gaps, even though we have, pretty good success rates in classes, and we have lots of support programs and learning communities and really robust support services. And so one of the things that we started looking at is the variation in success rates of classes. So looking at success in one section ranging from 35% of students in that class being successful to 90 or 100% of students being successful in another class in the same term of the same course. And so we started to look at that and seeing what could be attributing to those different trends.
And I'd also like to just add, part of the impetus was actually the AB 705, and all the community colleges in California share some of those same issues. And we were trying to also just judge what's the impact, what kind of impact on success rates. Everybody had their own predictions, including me, and we're sure that this is going to be the effect. And part of this was just to take a look at that. We had an accidental experiment in a way in the math area that we switched over, and maybe Myriad will say a little bit about how we did the placement policies. But we were developing support courses for the students who were no longer would be no longer in the developmental level courses, but we didn't complete the curriculum in time. So basically, this was a year when we implemented AB 705, and yet the students were allowed to enter directly into statistics and other transfer courses, but we had no special support courses for that 1 year, which we developed later. So that's another important aspect of the research, was what was the effect of AB 705 on our student success, and in going into the future, what kinds of things should we be aware of to provide the support for the students. Myriad, did you have?
No, my understanding of what we have done is pretty much as a faculty It's been what the department has done to use the guidelines we were given and to try to help students go through their transfer courses without the normal preparations they would have had, without not having taken the pre-transferable courses, the developmental courses that they would have taken, and still help them succeed without the help of those courses. So the idea was to have just-in-time teaching, giving them the opportunity to learn through coursework. So we created coursework. The department took a huge step to create many coursework for a lot of our early transferable courses. So our pre-calculuses, our stat courses, even our Math 11, they all come with coursework, which is a finite mathematics. They come with coursework that we offer for students to help them in lieu of their pre-courses. We're still looking for the data, but I think it went very well as far as the faculty's point of view. Yeah.
And I would just add too that De Anza implemented a year before it was actually required. So we did a full implementation starting in summer 18 with a full implementation for math in fall 18. So a year before AB 705 was required. And so we were ahead of the game and kind of weren't able to see what other colleges were doing and how it was working for their college. And then so we were scrutinizing our data to minute levels. And so being able to really scrutinize what was happening in those classes really early on allowed us to really drill down deep into the success rates and the throughput rates for those students and to really better understand what was going on. And that's kind of what led to the impetus of this, this research.
Wonderful. So it can become challenging at times talking about course success, student success, faculty success, especially at the section and instructor level. I'm just wondering, how was the institution able to navigate those challenging waters?
With difficulty is, I think, the standard answer. And in fact, that's really the net result of all this is exactly that question. Could we perhaps just show, for example, one of the graphs that became like the success rate for the Math 10? So this is for the first year that we implemented AB 705 without any kind of co-requisites, just because we're still working on developing all the curriculum and things for that. And the interesting thing is basically there's a slight decline in success rates from the previous year, 17-18, but no large decline. And if you look at the 5-year average, it's certainly well within, the range of the 5-year. We looked at some, not only for math, but we looked at this in other courses. And the basic idea here is that it was an unsurprising change in success rates with a major change with the AB 705 placement changes. And that was surprising, certainly was to me, and I think to most people. And eventually what this led us to do is to look, as Mallory said, in more detail, and maybe the one by section, the success rates by section. And this is really the heart of this one issue. When we looked at it, this is a total of all the sections of our statistics course that were taught during that academic year. And the success rates by section varied from 13% to 100%. And that was startling. I don't, sort of have gut feelings about it, but when you see the data itself, I think that's a very startling thing. We looked at it from, and I don't think we should show all the things, but just we looked at it from face to face. We looked at different measures like percentage of A's or percentage of any particular grade. The other surprising thing for me, I thought it was probably just the math department, but we looked at the English department. I actually looked at sociology and a bunch of other ones. And so the question really is, what is the meaning of that graph? and what implications does it have for our institution and other institutions? And here's where there's obviously, a great diversity of opinion about what it means. And in essence, I think the real power of this is to start a conversation. And I'm going to let myriad, say some things about it. But just start the conversation. What is the meaning? And is this something that we all feel is the way things should be? By the way, I mentioned this to other deans at other schools, and they took a look at it and they found the same startling thing. So it's not our college. And my best guess is if you look at four-year institutions, you will find the exact same pattern there.
Looking at just purely success level of sections, it's not necessarily fair or just to all the hard work the faculties put in classes. You could just one quarter have an unsuccessful class because of many factors. The day or the time you get the class assigned to you, the students who sign up for your class, the time of the day that the class is, the curriculum changes that there may be, or you may be trying new things that quarter, which is encouraged to try new methods. That could be factors. There are so many factors that you cannot see on one graph. You cannot see on one chart or the data. As a math major, I hate to say, but numbers don't tell you everything. And these are things that happens inside the classroom. And and I feel I'm here to say that when you just look at the chart like that, it's not a representative of what is behind. And to be just, I think we should look at all these other things that would help change this, like providing faculty with more support and figuring out what exactly is happening for enrollment in certain classes, the success level in certain classes, doing more complete surveys, an opportunity for the faculty to be able to themselves adjust what needs to be happening to help and support their students, because we all care about success of our classes and our students. To gather the data is great, and to help people say that there are other ways of improving, maybe connecting with students, doing better with students, or helping them learn what they need to learn is one thing. But if it's too much force from above, even if it is just randomly saying, we're just saying this is happening, we're not accusing anybody of anything, we're just saying that we are seeing this data. Little by little, it just saying seems like more or less questioning your dedication to your job. There are people who have low success rates, and again, I don't look at those data because I shouldn't. But one of the things, I know some of the people who may be in the lower success rate, who they care so much about their teachers, and they're not changing their style, not because they don't like students. They just care so much about their students, and they feel like they have to put a certain level of standards and not change it. They just don't see there may be other ways of keeping that standards. And that would be something that could be done through workshops, trainings, communications, and so forth. But if it just keeps coming up from the top that, look at this chart, we don't mean anything by it, but just look at it, but we don't mean anything by it, just keep looking at it. Little by little, it starts sinking in that maybe they mean something by it. So if people may feel a little, no, I'm just saying, like, I mean, I know nobody does, but I just can't see as a faculty that it would be questioning like my, I would say 20 years of experience, that maybe it was like, I'm still not doing what I'm supposed to be doing with it. I feel like I'm doing so much.
Thank you, myriad. You bring up a really great point about how I think for other colleges moving in this direction, a point of, a note to take is that to really try to make it faculty driven, right? And one of the things that we've done for many years, we have a inquiry tool where individual faculty can go into a data self-serve tool at their own leisure, at their own time, and they can see their success, retention, withdrawal rates of their own classes by their own individual section. And that was actually created per the request of a whole division. So it's, departments within a division were looking at their equity gaps and developing equity plans. And so we developed this tool for them and have made it available across the campus for many years now. And what departments have been doing with this tool is they pull down their own information, and they'll have conversations within their department around their success rates. And it can be disaggregated by many different groups, by race, ethnicity, and low income and Pell status and such. And they have conversations around like, oh, well, how am I doing over time with this group of students? And, how are you performing with these? What are you doing? Like, what kinds of tests do you have? What kinds of assignments? What are your your late policies, what's your drop policy and different things. So having these conversations is really the key to it. And that's what we're really trying to encourage. And what Myriad was saying really is that it needs to be faculty driven because that's where the change is going to happen. So as much as we can support faculty in encouraging them to use the tools that are available to them and to have those conversations, that's the direction that we really want to be moving in.
And I had just two things to add. One is that amongst the graphs that we looked at like this, we also looked at the equity gap and we saw something that was similar. So the relevance of this, I think, is very important. But actually, I also really appreciate, Myriad, your point of view. And do you have some suggestions? This is a live thing of ways from your faculty perspective. Are there ways that you think that this could be made more useful for faculty and an approach, going forward where it could be used by individual faculty and amongst the faculty?
The chart and the data and all of that should be down the line. That should be maybe later after you provide opportunities. Other things that could happen is mentorship. In the department, there could be mentorships. We have been able to utilize Canvas in our department, and faculty go on Canvas and they post discussion questions about how to do online. Right now, that's a hot topic, how to do online evaluation and assessments, how to make online tests that are more equitable, and how to present better lectures online and make sure students participate in lectures, which is challenging for that. So these are things that just like that, it could be for faculty, we could do more of a group team building activities to help students, faculty that teach certain courses be able to build. They're offering the faculty a better schedules in a sense that will be more flexible for their family, which is very hard. I'm a scheduler. I'm not a scheduler. I help JD schedule. But it is very hard to schedule faculty because there are a lot of limitations, a lot of factors. But being able to provide faculty with the classes that is best suited for their teaching, and if I have a faculty who wants to practice a certain technique of teaching in a certain class, we should provide them the opportunity and the resources to implement that technique. If it's tutoring, if it's mentoring, if it is workshops that they can go to learn more, that would be a good idea. But I think this should be the first year before we actually then look at the data and show them the bar graph. Because the bar graph at first, it's very intimidating for the faculty, as it is when I first saw it. It's like, where am I? I'm first looking for which bar is representing me and my classes. And then I realized I'm not teaching Math 10, so none of them. But I could have been one of those bars, and then that would be a close call. But that I could have been one of those bars, and I could see myself, because I take so much pride in my teaching, that would have been very intimidating. To me personally, if a school's starting this, they should do that first. Try to give faculty an understanding of what the factors are, understanding of how they can improve that. Workshops, bring in presenters who have shown success, peer mentoring of the faculty members themselves, mentor each other and talk to each other, group building, team building on the different topics and subjects, and showing a sort of a supportive attitude towards this, which again, it could happen. At any school, it could happen. And then putting the bars and data later.
Mm-hmm. And we have started doing that too. It's a really great point for other colleges that are starting to do that is we have professional development events that we often won't show the data first because it can be off-putting, and then people don't even want to pay attention to it. And so trying to frame it in a way that how do we support, like all the things Myriad was saying, how do we support faculty in the classroom? How do we support students? What are the issues around it? Without even showing the data, or showing the data afterwards, right? So that you're not offending people right up front, because like we said, it's very contentious to be talking about these types of things across the campus. And so we've been, trying different ways of going about this that, like Myriad was saying, that can work and help get buy-in from faculty and have faculty be the champions of moving this forward themselves.
This is really powerful work, and I appreciate you all sharing this nuance with us. So any final thoughts here about institutions that might be jumping into this work? Mallory, do you have any input for researchers? You've shared a little bit of that here at the end. Just wondering if there's any final tips, tricks, or ideas that you have to help make this work successful.
Jerry, do you want to add anything?
Well, I was just going to actually echo something that the Myriad's pointed out, and I think that I think it's very important work, and especially because we see the similar pattern in things like the equity. But I do think that it needs, the next steps are to make sure that we, and we have looked into it to some degree, but to make sure that we do have the other factors and that faculty are given access to that, you know, so they can go through that themselves and look at it. So I think for us going forward, I would like to make sure that this is incorporated into, we have a wonderful system so that individual faculty can look at their own sections and compare it to the aggregates. And I think we will be adding some more of these factors and the things that Myriad's talking about. We have done some of that, but things like the time of day and other factors in there.
All right, well, congratulations to all of you. Clearly, there's a lot of innovative work going on across the state, and this project rose to the top. So I commend all of you for this important work, student equity and success, and thank you for sharing your stories with us.